Okay, so we're back with Lori with part two of this. We have had an amazing conversation.
Yes,
God,
we
I just
have.
love her so much because when you actually deal with people who have gained or gone through what you have gone through, the talking makes you feel like that you belong.
Yes.
And I am so glad to have you in my life. You were like my mother.
Oh,
See,
I love you.
I love you too, babe. So we was talking about trusting, and well, I want to go back because we had touched on a suffering point when you could be 65 and still suffer in a younger mentality. And I know for a fact that when I was in my 30s and I was probably acting like I was 6 or 7, but because I was blossoming and blooming into this woman, the hidden part of me was suffering. And so it's hard when people tell you or judge your character. And this it's for me, the outside world was telling me something that I didn't want to hear, because all of my hearing was in the circle of who I was hanging around with, and
Right.
Where I went to church at, or the conversations that was around me that I always wanted to grab at. I always wanted to grab at. How do you really feel about me?
Yeah.
How do you feel about me? Because I wanted to belong.
Right.
Because since day one, when I was at home, I didn't feel like I was belonged.
Right.
I was isolated.
That is our number one. Babies that aren't held die. It's been
Oh,
proven.
my
Babies
goodness.
that are not held die. That is our human. Actually, we need that more than we need. Of course, we need food. After a couple weeks, we'll die. But we need human belonging. We have to belong. That is like one of the biggest things as a human need. I can't even express how important that is.
And see, the thing about
we have to find our tribe.
Yeah. And for a lot of times, as a kid, you want to be held, and you want to say, good job, congratulations, baby, or how was your day, or come sit on my lap. That part of me as a parent, I didn't grab onto because I didn't get it.
Right.
So it was hard for me to accept any love.
Yes.
Like, you look pretty. No, I don't.
Yes.
What do you want?
You can't
You
take
know, I
compliments
can't
or
take.
nothing.
I'm like, you're beautiful. No, I ain't.
Yeah.
It's like,
Instead
what you
of-
want? Like, what do you need from me?
Yes.
What do you need from me?
Yep.
And I base a lot of that on I must be honest. I base a lot of that on my molestation, because my molestation just took me to another level.
Yes.
And then being in domestic relationship, because I followed him into my life.
Yeah.
And there was all, you're ugly. Well, that stemmed from my sister always telling me I was ugly. And then going to school, ooh, you have a gap. My sister said, your gap is ugly. And so all of that stuff registered in my mind.
And it validated, because we actually have a part of our brain that's called the reticular activation system. I mean, I know that's a lot of words, but what it does in our brain, it looks for things that validates what we already believe. So when we grow up thinking, I have this gap, I actually had things growing up. Like, and kids called me Dracula all the time, and they said I had big ears. So, so those things stick. They freaking stick with you. And then when you get older, you will look for ways. If somebody just even glances your way, that you think, man, they're looking at my gap, or they're looking at my ears, or they're looking at this, because of that part of our brain that looks to validate what we already believe, so that our brain doesn't think we're crazy.
Yes.
So what you believe about yourself, you will continue to create.
I was so, I used to hold babies, and the first thing the babies would do when I would start smiling, the baby was like,
yeah.
And like, God, even the baby don't even like me. And I was like,
and it's probably not even that.
And I was like, when I get money, I'm going to get me some braces and get the gap covered up, because I am not going to sit here and be like this. Because every time I looked at the mirror, oh my God, the mirror, I would see the gap. I wouldn't see anything else.
Beauty. Yeah.
But I would just see my gap. And I'm like, I hate you. Yeah. I hate you. Like, why do I have to have a gap? And then it's like, you look just like your daddy. And of course, at the time, I just didn't care for my dad like that, because of the past and stuff like that. So it was everything zoomed into the gap. Now I'm like,
you embrace yourself.
I'm like, oh, Shanetta.
Yes.
That's me.
That's you.
That is me. I mean, it's okay.
Yes.
But at the time when I did hear it every now and again, you got a sexy gap. You have a beautiful smile. No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Because my sister said,
You bought into
because
it.
my
You believe it.
my peers at school said it was ugly. So you can't sit here and tell me that it's beautiful
Mhm.
because I've been hearing it all my life that it's not.
So you
So
would
I couldn't
reject
even-
the truth.
I couldn't bring it in.
Mm-mm.
I could not bring it in, and which kept me from smiling a lot.
Yeah.
And so the whole aura of that is that it is what I was embedded inside of
Yes.
kept me from suffering. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, Shanetta, you have a beautiful smile. And
Yes.
it's like you got to give it to the world. And it's like you know, for
Woo,
me,
ears.
like, yeah. And it's like those parts of you don't make you who you are.
Right.
And that's one of the people that we're a social generation now.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot of people have a lot of likes and they wear the best clothes and they got model material and they got big behinds and big
Yeah.
breasts and stuff like that, but you don't even know if they can talk. You don't even
That's
know if
right.
can carry on the conversation.
Absolutely.
All you look at is what you don't have.
Yeah.
And I know I've been in that comparative mentality is I don't have
Yeah.
and it kept me suffering
It
and
keeps you
suffering and
down.
suffering and suffering
It
and
does.
suffering.
It does. Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't like that. And
I
for a
read
long time, go ahead.
I read a story a while back. They did a survey and they asked a group of adults, what would you change about yourself if you could? And adults would say, well, I would get smaller ears, or I would get bigger boobs, or I would fix the gap in my tooth, or I would do this or do that. It was always physical, something that they found wrong with themselves. And then the same people did a survey with kids and they said, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? And the kids were like, I would get like Batman wings so I could fly off the building, or I would get like a little fairy wings, or I would get a unicorn thing, or whatever. They were playful, they were fun because they had not bought in to the belief yet that there was something wrong with them. And it was beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, how much we could learn from that.
Ask me what I would change.
What would you change?
Fear.
Mm.
I would change worrying less, loving and living more,
Yes.
and dimmer down, which I'm working on my fear, and get rid of that fear.
Yeah.
Nothing on the outside.
That's beautiful.
Nothing on the outside that I would change. It would be more so what I got going on in my mind that I have yet to dimmer down and simmer
And that's
it
a
out.
spiritual growth.
Yes,
and
and
that is a good thing to aim for.
Yeah.
Because we as humans are always going to be called to evolution, evolve into a greater and better self. I remember, if you don't mind me sharing, the
Go
first time I met you, for 2 months you cried in my office.
I did.
Every single appointment. And
You made me cry,
you wanted courage.
I did.
I remember courage. And you've done so many courageous things since I've known you.
Mhm.
And every time I see you do something, I'm like, look at that courage, look at that courage. And so when we recognize one thing in our lives that we want to change and we work on that, God will bring things and circumstances into our lives. He won't necessarily take the fear away, but he will allow things in your life that will enable you to overcome that fear. An opportunity. It's an opportunity instead of, it's not a curse. It's not a punishment. It's not a punishment because you're a bad person or done this wrong or done that wrong. It is a blessing. It is an opportunity because he's over there cheering you on, saying, come on, come on, come on. I know you got the courage. You're going to overcome this fear. I know it. I'm with you. Do it, do it, do it. So it's an opportunity for you to overcome that. And so we're always going to be growing.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
You told me a long time ago, you said, okay, Shanae, you're praying for confidence,
Mm-hmm.
but are you seeking the trials that God has placed in front of you? You know, sometimes that the confidence is coming from something that you don't feel comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
You always said that is your confidence, but are you missing the signs and the tests that God is sending your way? And I was blocking it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I no, that's going to make me uncomfortable. I'm going to fail again. I don't want to fail again because everybody's going to look at me and laugh and say, you're a failure.
So that keeps us little because we're only going to do the things that we feel confident in, which is this many things. But if we can step out of that box and start doing things that we're afraid of doing, or that takes courage, or that takes confidence, that's how we grow.
I love failing.
Yeah.
I love failing. I tell anybody, people are like, what? I love failing because failing gives me growth.
Yes.
It gives me another way of learning something. It gives me a new avenue that I can change and go something else. Like going down the highway, if I miss a road, great. I get to see something different.
There you go.
And people were like, why you make that wrong turn? Why are you wasting time? Why are you in such a hurry?
Right.
And that's my next thing. Because, boy, when I used to, going through my struggles, I used to think everything had to be done quickly and swiftly.
Mm-hmm.
What was I doing?
Ooh.
Everything. I had to walk fast. I had to talk fast. I had to I had to be somewhere, and I always got to be the first one there.
Mm-hmm.
And what was I doing to myself?
Do you feel like you were you had to be accomplished? Like you had to accomplish this thing and get it done in a timely manner to prove yourself?
I felt like for me, I was running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Swiftly.
Mm-hmm.
Running swiftly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like for me, it was I was running from my true self.
Yeah.
And
were you always in a hurry?
Always in a hurry.
Yeah.
If you can see me and my kids in the mall, me and my kids would be doing 90 miles per hour, like shoo, shoo, shoo.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't even imagine what I look like. If I did, if a guy really did, he wanted to holler at me, he would have never got the chance. I was in a fast lane going fast. And,
because sometimes when we slow down, we have to hear our own self and hear our thoughts and be with ourselves. Just be. And that was uncomfortable.
Very.
Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
So if you're going, fast, zip, 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 it's like, I don't have to deal.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with the silence because then all my stuff's going to come over.
Yeah. It's basically what I look at it now is that, it was just like a ball and chain, I was dragging, and that's probably why a lot of times I was so tired because I was dragging this ball around thinking I'm trying to leave it. Yeah. But it's just like your shadow, you're dragging it with you. You're dragging it with you. Like, a lot of people say, I got to move out of here. I got to get out of here. I got to move to this different state. But everything that you have now is going to go with you. Mm-hmm. Wherever you go.
Because it's all in here.
It's internal.
Yes.
It's really, really internal. And so I thank God for the imageries that me and you used to do. Because I was just to be like, Glory, I don't want to talk today. I want to just go sleep.
I just want to the visualization.
And people would
take me to my happy place.
And people would say, you do what? I said, and love it. Because that was the best hour of service that I could have ever gotten. It's like, I get to shut this down. Yeah. I get to create something else. And it was just like, oh my God. Yes. It was a high. It was just like a really authentic high.
Yeah, you could come in feeling horrible because I could see it on your face. And then we could do a visualization to where and I think what it is that in that quiet visualization, that time that you took for you, to care for you, to self-care, to love that little girl that was hurting inside, when you took time to do that, you were tapping into your true self. Yeah. The self that is connected to God. Yeah. And then you could hear that peaceful voice that says, I've got this. I've got you, Shanetta. You're worth it. I've got you.
And then that is like, I'm going back to it now, like, yes. Yeah. I for a long time, I did a lot of self-hurt. And I know I was doing a lot of self-hurt because, I would drink a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, being honest, I would just drink a lot. I would drink heavily to down it. Yes. Just to drown out the noise, mm-hmm. To drown out, having to think about
all of those negative voices.
Yeah, and to realize that I suffered and I created a suffering for something that wasn't even my fault. Right. And the self-aware that what I was struggling with didn't even come from me. Yeah, it wasn't even yours to own. It wasn't, but I owned it and I protected it, and I kept it like this. Yeah. And I was like, why am I feeling bad about myself for the inflictions that was given to me from someone else? Yes. And so when I got that internalized in my head, that's when I started to accept my life is nothing that it was done wrong to me. It was the reactions of the pain that I kept struggling with that was the cause of the creation. Mm-hmm. And that helped me to turn around and face that mirror. Yeah. And a lot of times when we look at the mirror, when we go into the bathroom, we in and out of the mirror. Yes. Because the mirror has so many different voices. Ooh, and the voices are speaking to us, mm-hmm. but they're not even our voices. But we can't distinguish them because there's so many of them, mm-hmm. that mirror is like the demon. Mm-hmm. Like, I know so many people that will not look at that mirror. You're absolutely right, because I'm a Heal Your Life coach, coach, and that's one of our things that we do. I give everybody, all the participants in a group, a mirror,
and ask them to look at themselves for like 30 seconds or a minute, do you know how long that is to look in your
The
eyes?
struggle.
I mean, tears flow. And especially just to look and see what comes up for you is huge. You know, and we'll start like doing our eyebrows or fixing our hair. That doesn't count. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about looking into your eyes deep and seeing what comes up for you. And then writing that down, and then start contemplating on that and dealing with that and working through that. And then later on down the road, you'll be able to look in that mirror, look in your eyes, and say, I love you. I really, really love you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take care of you, Lori. I love you so much. You're so worth it. You got this today, girl. And then you'll be able to do that in a healthy way, and it won't feel weird, and it won't hurt, and you won't cry. It'll actually catapult you to the next level. It's called mirror work, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's a wonderful thing to look at the mirror and don't be afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
Going through my thing, you know, I started to take a lot of selfies, and I used to be around people like, all you do is take pictures, and all you do is take pictures. But that was my mechanism that I knew I was afraid of, that I had to get comfortable with. And it was actually making me to be acceptable of myself.
Yes.
And so a lot of times that I would do it just so I could see myself.
Yeah.
I wanted
That's
to see myself.
That's a beautiful way to start.
Yeah, and at the time, you know, I was trying anything to get better.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do anything that is accept myself. And so, you know, a lot of times when you're with people that you hang around with and you start to do things differently, you become judged.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're hitting their triggers.
You are.
Now you're motivated and you're pushing yourself forward. But
you're growing.
I'm growing.
And people will either come with you or they'll rebel against it and go the other way.
Right. And so a lot of times when I was first, you know, in my sense of belonging, little sense of belonging, I was starting to do things. And I could turn to a friend and their face would be so screwed up at me. And at first I thought, why they don't like me, or what did I do wrong? But when I got further and further away, it wasn't me that they didn't like. It was what I was doing that's what's creating the trigger. And then you ask them, what?
It was uncomfortable for them.
Oh, now I think, it's becoming uncomfortable for them. So now you're waking up their own struggles.
You are, yeah.
And so I was like, oh. And I was like, well, why don't you just ask me to help you? But at the time, I had become a competitor, and now we have become in competition.
In their minds.
In their minds.
Yes.
And so
a lot of times, and you probably heard me tell you this 1,000 times, how many times I say, Shanetta, when you begin to grow, a lot of people won't understand, and they'll say that you're being selfish and self-centered because all you think about now is yourself. It's a phase.
What you told me was to get my behind out of where I'm at so that I can grow.
Yes.
And I'm like, we don't know what she's talking about. I don't have to move everybody out of my life. And you was like, Shanetta, you're not listening. Get yourself out of that circle so that you can be able to heal and grow. I'm like, why I gotta go leave everybody?
I know. I remember you were like, I don't have any more friends. I was going to tell you a story about the whole selfie thing. It's so funny. I want you to see the contrast because you just said that when you started doing that, it was helping and building your own esteem, and I get that. I've been there. I do that. I've done that. But then other people, the way that they respond to it, they can criticize you and say, what's she doing? And all that. Well, one time I was at the beach and I was in this high tower condo on the beach. And then we had the ocean was here. We had a swimming pool here and then another high rise over here. Well, I was up really high and I could see over there at that girl's balcony because we were kind of facing each other, you know, from a distance. And there was a girl over there taking selfie pictures and she had the beach behind her and she was taking pictures, like 30 minutes worth of selfies, right? And I remember sitting there just looking at her because I was sitting on my balcony and I'd look and I was like, she's still doing selfies. She's still doing selfies. And I was like, my heart, if I could have reached over there, I think I started crying and I could almost cry every time I see it. I felt so much love for that girl because I was like, she's wanting so much to be loved. She's going to send this to her loved ones or whoever she wants to love her. She's going to take it for herself. She's putting her best face forward, her best self forward. She's in a happy place. It's like all of the love that God could have for her through me came out that day. And I think of her all the time. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. And every time I think of her, I send her love we connected in that moment. She doesn't even know it.
Yeah, it's the
But so
energy.
it's a difference. It's a difference. When I looked at her, I was overwhelmed with love for her because I wanted for her what she was wanting for herself.
Mhm.
So there's a difference in your people, your
Yes.
tribe. You want people who love you that way.
Yes.
And as opposed to people who are competing with you.
Yeah,
There's no
and-
competition. We're all here
We're
together.
all beautiful people. We just so bogged down with so much insecurities and so much
Mhm.
self-doubt that it's hard for one woman to another woman to say, hey, you look beautiful today, when you don't feel beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I love giving compliments out
Yeah, me
because it
too.
makes me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all for love. You know, if anybody ever does not know me, know that I'm all for love.
Yes.
Like I can love everybody and be okay with it because that's what that was
Yes.
my gift. You know, with despite that everything that's happened in my life.
Well, you know what
I
it's like to
love.
be without love.
Yes, and I
So you
definitely
don't want anybody to feel that way.
No.
So it's easier for me to compliment and love people because I want them to feel loved.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we're missing in our society today, talking about being social and all that. We're social on, you know, Instagram and Facebook and whatever, but we're missing the old ways of quilting and shucking corn and shelling peas. Maybe we don't want to do that, but
I
we
don't
need.
want to do
No,
that.
we don't want to do that. But here I see it in my art studio.
Uh-huh.
When women get together and paint and create, they share their lives together.
Yeah.
We miss that tribal connection. We need to find ways. One, we need to belong. And we need
Yes.
to be able to talk and share with each other and exhort one another and encourage each other and say, what's going on in your life right now? How can we support you in that?
Yeah.
Do you need some ideas about how you can handle this in your life with your child or husband or mom or whatever? The phases of life are difficult. We all have phases. We go through, you know, adolescence or kids and then teenage years and then 20s and 30s and 40s and then, you know, menopause and then taking care of our elderly parents. I mean, there's so many phases of life. We need each other.
We do. We need each other,
And we need ladies older than us, younger than us,
Empower.
and the same with us.
If we empower one another, then we can all rise up together. And for me, I have a problem with like a lot of people like you know they look at me differently because you know I have elevated my life, and now that I have elevated my life, you know my kids have elevated their life because they came right behind
They
me.
have,
Because
yes.
I opened up a door for them to come behind
You
me.
glean the way.
You know, but if anybody that know me, you know, knows that I will turn back around and help you all I can.
Yeah.
It's for free for me because the more people that I got going this way, the more people I got coming along.
Yes.
It's going to make me more comfortable, make me
Yeah.
okay.
It's momentum.
It is. It
It
really
is.
is.
Yeah.
And the trajectory of life is that we all win.
Yes, we all win.
We all win. We
Yes.
all win if we all
And
pull
you
together.
can never truly be successful if you leave others behind. The only way that you can truly be successful in your life is you be successful and you bring others with you.
Yes, and now I'm so driven this year. You know, after my little incident at New Year's Day, you know, I'm so driven in trying to help people.
Mhm.
You know, this is all for free. This is all out of love. But the more people that I have coming this way, the more friends my kids can have
Yes.
that's going in the same way. And it's a pyramid of stuff that's coming
It is.
behind it that I'm trying to get to. But you know, it's important that we all grow.
Yes.
And the thing about life is that you touched on something is love, and a lot of people need love in order to grow. But the essence of love is, do you have it inside of you already?
Mhm.
And we have to pour it into us so that we can give it
Yes.
back out. And the more we give back out in love, because God is in love.
Yes.
You know, God isn't of judgment and criticism
No.
and stuff like that, and you doing this, but I'm also doing this. You know, God didn't
No.
say that. He says to love everybody
Mhm.
because that's how He wanted to do it, and that's how the world is supposed to be manifested, and that's why the world is struggling right now because there's not enough love.
Yeah. So when we receive the love that God has for us, we will love ourselves as God loves us. And then when we
Yes.
love ourselves that way, we won't need to be needy and grab it from other people, but we'll be able to give that same love to other people. So it's like coming this way, and then going that way. And then it's a beautiful life.
Yes, it is a beautiful life. You
That
know,
way.
just to be able to hug my kids and give them kisses and tell them I love them and I'm proud of them. You know, the more I say it to them, the more I heal myself because even though I didn't get it as a child, I'm able to give it.
Yes.
And it's and now that I'm sitting here talking now, and the revelation that God, this is all God's work, because it's for a kid that's not ever being loved and hugged and said, hey, you're beautiful and I'm loved, and you sitting here thinking, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What was wrong?
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing for my kids to come sit on my lap, or my kids to come sit beside of me, and my kids to say, hey mama, we're going with you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, y'all like me now.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I gave them love now, and now I feel, and now I'm peaceful in my life.
Yes.
And so now they're like, we're gonna
They're
sit with you.
embracing that.
We're
Yeah.
gonna sit with you too.
Yeah.
So I want
It's
to
life changing.
get it. Really is. But one thing that I want to touch on before we go is,
Mm-hmm.
people don't recognize how pain is addictive. And going it back to the love thing is, you can be addicted to pain just like you can be addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Absolutely.
I'm a witness to that. If you keep being pitched all your life,
Yes.
when you stop being pitched,
Yeah.
you start to need it
Yes.
because you're used to it.
Absolutely.
And I just want you to touch base on how addictive that pain can be and how it can just create a whole nother world for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Pain is, like you said, it's just as addictive as a drug. Any negative or bad behavior or any pain, whatever that pain was for you, again, whether it was just physical abuse, molestation, verbal, anything that's been done to you in your life as a child, you will perpetuate it. It will become an addiction for you per se, because if you were used to screaming and physical pain or this or that when you were young, when you get older and you get into a relationship, if those people aren't treating you the same way, you will be very, very uncomfortable. And so you will leave them. If they're too quiet and too nice to you and treat you nicely, you won't accept it for yourself because that's not home to you.
Yeah.
So you will go find somebody else that will mistreat you the same way that you were mistreated. So you have to put the brakes on, recognize it, be honest with yourself, because it's not going to feel good. You're still going to miss work. When it starts affecting your life and you're crying all the time, or you're broke and you're living in a crappy place and you got bad relationships and you're being yelled at.
Sick all the time.
Sick all the time.
Sick all the time. I see so many people that stay sick all the time.
Yeah.
When I get sick is when I get stressed out. And
Yes.
I'm like, kids like, oh, you've been stressed a lot, haven't you? I'm like, yes, I have.
Yeah, that's
but
how I get sick.
But yeah, it's that addictive to being hurt that keeps you remaining where you are. And I can't stress that enough. I was addicted bad.
And then sometimes sick. I mean, there's a lot of sick people, and I'm not saying anything disrespectful.
No.
But sometimes our sickness will benefit us because we've been wounded and hurt. But when we don't heal ourselves, if we have a sickness, then the people that were mistreating us will bring us something to eat, and they'll dote over us and be nice. So you tell me what you're going to do now. You're going to be sick. Because now they're being nice to me. If I'm sick, then everybody's going to wait on me. And I get the attention. And it gets me out of responsibilities. It gets me out of having to go to places and do things. It gets me out of working. I don't have to work. I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
So it perpetuates. The snowball gets bigger. You will start with pain. The pain will perpetuate, get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it'll just keep manifesting in so many different ways till your life is totally out of control. And then you look back on your life on your deathbed and you're like, I wish I could do it over.
Les Brown had he had a motivational video out, and he said that if you was on your deathbed and every person or everything that you were supposed to do was wrapped around you, how would you feel? That lightened my eyes up.
Yeah.
That lightened my eyes up so bad because that's a true statement. I would hate to not be my best at things.
Yes.
and keep myself to a minimum because of that. So, going into growth and evolving and stuff like that, a lot of people will say, I don't know how. I want to. Mm-hmm. They'll even continue to speak about it, or they'll post every day about it.
Yeah.
But like for me, like going to church, if I don't bring church home with me, church will get lost. Well, God will get lost in the transition or the transportation part of me going from church to home.
Right, absolutely.
So
you can lose your religion on the way home.
Yeah. Because when you're trying to seek after God, that 1 hour ain't gonna do you no good. Just like me coming to you for an hour every other week,
Mhm.
it's not going to do me no good if I don't put the action.
You have to practice.
Yes.
Yes,
And
you
the
do.
consistency in that
Yes.
is the struggle.
Yes.
You know, I can understand why people don't want to get healed.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning
No,
it.
it's
hard.
It's hard. It's a conscious decision, and it is a practice. And you're
Mhm.
going to fall on your face, and you're going to have to get back up, and you're going to have to try it again.
And you're going to be alone. And ain't nobody going to be rooting for you.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody going to be struggling with you. And
Nobody's
they're going to
gonna-
sit there and laugh at you.
They're not
Say
gonna
you should stay
understand.
back there with us. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's all that stuff that I have heard. You know, when I was starting to live a different life, and I'm going to see a life coach. You going to do what?
Yeah.
You just need to come over here and take a drink. No, I don't want to drink.
Right.
I want help.
Yes.
You know, and I wanted to seek help. Like I needed it. Like I needed some way out of this dark hole that I was in.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, a lot of people laughed at me, but it was like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because you can't help me. You don't even know where I am. You can't even give me a powerful word that you can step up on this next step.
Right.
You just want me to remain here so you can have company.
And I
I don't want to be your company anymore.
Mhm.
You know, because
Yeah.
you know, the bigger the crowd, the bigger comfort is you. and
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I used to have 50,000 people
Well,
going me everywhere I went.
That was your tribe.
Ah,
You belonged.
I belonged.
But when you start looking for something different, you have to find new belonging. You have to
Yes.
find people that are like-minded.
Yes.
That will lift you up.
I told a friend of mine the other day. I said, you know, if you could just think about, you know, I can look at it when I go to Broadway at the beach, and they got the little thing where you put your quarter in and get the feed, and you know all the fishes are up, and everybody want to be fed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just think about you in that community that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
and you're ready to leave.
Yep.
But you're looking for somebody on your left and your right to help you.
Yep.
They don't have
Ain't
no
there.
arms.
Yep.
They are all looking up. They're
That's
not
right.
looking beside of you, so they can't help you to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to register that in your mind that you're going to have to take your step to stand
Yeah.
up
Mhm.
and get past them.
Yeah.
And the more you go past them, the more stronger you can get.
Yes. And it takes, I had a friend tell me a long time ago, you'll only change when the pain to remain the same becomes greater than the pain to change, then you'll change. So that's all different for some people. If I get a ticket from a policeman, that's like this to some people. To me, I'm like, ah, it's the end of the world. So everybody has different pain levels and pain tolerances. And what will help catapult somebody won't even phase somebody else, because I've seen people at lower lows than I've been, and they're still not willing to change. So when they want to change, I don't know what's going to happen in their lives to make them want to change. But when they're willing to change, God will send all the resources, and the angels and the heavens will pour down to send you everything that you need to help you, whether it's professional. It could be, I mean, wherever you are in life. I have seen people, I've been in Al-Anon in the past, and I saw a lady who was in a different place than I was. She had gone to she was in an abuse situation. She wanted